So welcome everyone to our Perfect Set Point series. I am so grateful that you're here to take part in this course. We're going to go ahead and get started right away with our strength and conditioning videos. And here's how it's going to work. Each video will get progressively a little more challenging throughout the summer, but you can just work at your own pace. You might even choose to stay with this video for a couple of weeks before moving on to the next one. With all the exercises, I'll offer up a level 1 and a level 2 version. So if you're recovering from an injury or you're just getting started, I want you to stay at level 1, and as you get progressively stronger and learn the movements, you can move up to the level 2. If you've been at this for a while, you can go ahead and just do level 2 right away. You want to move your body in a pain-free, click-free, clunk-free range of motion. So you don't want to feel pain while you're doing it, and you shouldn't hear awkward or weird sounds in a motion. If you do so, you just want to back down or maybe wait for the next exercise, and you're welcome to contact me via the private Facebook page, and I can let you know how to modify things to help that work better for your body. I want you to breathe easily throughout this, and I just want you to also have a good time and have fun getting stronger. You do want to challenge yourself, so if you feel like the exercises are becoming easy for you or you're not bringing your heart rate up, then you want to go ahead and challenge yourself by maybe moving a little faster or going up to the level 2 or possibly adding some more weight. We'll be working with free weights for most of the exercises, so you can use some light handheld weights, some dumbbells. Ideally, a 3-pound, a 5-pound, or an 8-pound, or even tin cans work to get started. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our strength and conditioning video 1. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started with our warm-up. So I just want you to take a moment, just standing. You can have shoes on or shoes off, but I want you to just imagine your feet, whether you're in your shoes or out, and you're going to lift the toes up, spread them apart, and place them back down, and feeling as though you have an arch in your foot from the ball of the foot through to the heel. You want to feel this nice lifted energy coming up the body, as though you're getting elongated all the way through to the crown of your head. You're going to take a nice breath in here, inhale, exhale. So we're going to add some motion to that and just starting to inhale as we come up with the shoulder blades and exhale, circling them around. Remembering we're moving in our pain-free, click-free, clunk-free range of motion here. So this is all about the shoulder blade moving on the rib cage. It doesn't have to be a huge motion. It's just about getting mobility in the tissue and the fascia. We're going to add an arm circle to here, so we're going to bring those arms up and overhead and around. So just imagining it's as though you're just growing into the space around you, but you still want to feel like you're consolidated with your joints in the socket. So you want to overreach this right now. It's just a nice, easy, light range of motion. We're going to do 2 more. And then last one, reversing directions here, so switching, going the other way. Inhaling as you go overhead. Watch as your arms go over that you don't arch your back or stick your ribs out. So this is all about the arm bone moving in its socket. You're going to do 2 more here and 1 more. And then moving front to back, just getting a nice swing going. You can take a small bend in your knees. Just easy arm motion here. Again, just front to back, a little bit of flexion and extension. So you're going to do 2 more. We're just trying to get the blood flowing. 1 more. And then we're going to move to the side. So widening your stance slightly. Here we're going to take our hand up the body, our hand overhead, and slightly towards the ceiling. And then down. So switching, leading with the elbow, following with the hand. So you're going to go about 5 or 6 to each side. You're thinking about opening your side ribs on this side, but as you go into the bend, you want to watch you don't collapse down. So you want to keep tall through the motion. You're going to do 2 more, and then last one. From here, hands can go onto your hips, and we're going to do some small hip circles. So you're thinking about stirring your leg bone in the socket. Again, it's not a huge motion, and you want to be mindful of your low back as you go through. You're just going through some small, easy circles here, getting fluidity going in those hips. Bringing your feet closer together, we're going to go ahead and grab one knee, drawing it in towards your chest. If you feel like balance is an issue here, you can always put your hand on the wall and just do one leg at a time. So you're just switching back and forth if you're on the spot here, keeping the arch in your foot, keeping the length in your spine. We're going to add some circles to that, so circle around and pick it up for last 3 and 2 and your last one here. Bringing your hands to your knees, we're going to do some small circles so your feet and your knees are moving in one direction. So you don't have to keep the feet fully planted on the floor. There is some motion and switching sides. For a few more here, just getting easy motion in the joints. Getting your feet a nice hip distance width apart. You can put your hands onto your hips or your hands onto your thighs. You're going to bend your knees slightly, and we're moving over to the outside of one foot and the inside of the other. Then keeping distance between the knees, you're going to go back and forth, side of the foot to the other side of the foot. So you're warming up your ankles here with a little bit of mobility. So we'll just do a few more. It's just a nice easy warm up just to get the blood flowing and mobility in the joints. You're going to take your hands wide and then bring them together and round your back gently, and then open and forward and around. And last one, open and forward and around. From here, we're going to just get ready to go into our circuit. So just take a breath here, grab some water if you need it, and we're going to start with the circuit. We'll be doing 2 exercises back to back. Then we'll move on to the next series and the next, and we'll follow it with some mat work and then a cool down. We're going to do about 50 seconds on and 10 seconds to get ready for your next exercise. So we're going to go ahead and start with the first one. It's going to be a lunge step back. So we'll be moving from this position here. We're focusing on a soft knee, and we're doing a small bend in our hips. So just getting the hinging action at the hips going is first thing you need to do. Once you've figured out that hip hinging motion, you're going to go ahead and add a step back. So from the hinge, we'll add a step. Your knee stays over that second toe, and you don't want to lean too far forward. So we find the hinge, and then we add a step back. Once you've got that going, we're going to go ahead and add your arms. From there, we'll be combining that with a tricep curl or extension. So this position, we'll be reaching back, forward, and back. So to get you started, we'll do the first round with no weights, and then we'll work at the level 1, and we'll build you up to level 2. I'm going to get my timer started, and we will get going. So getting ready, thinking about that hinging action at the hips, you're going to find the hinge position and step back with the leg, reaching the hands overhead. So we're staying on the same leg, and you should feel like the shape of your spine doesn't change from start to finish. So it's like you're literally hinging at your hip joint here. If you're at level 2, you can start to reach back a little further. So like you're stepping farther back behind you. You want to keep your shoulders away from your ears. So you don't need to force them down your back, but I don't want them up here at your ears. So keep the shoulders soft. If you find that you're hugging your ears with your shoulders, I want you to keep your hands go less high. Good. We've got just a few more seconds to go here, and then you're going to go ahead, pick up your lighter set of weights or your tin cans. You're going to find that hinge again. Think about elbowing someone behind you, keeping your collarbones wide, but trying not to arch your back. We're going to extend the arms back behind you. So you're exhaling with each repetition. And you're trying not to let your shoulders round forward as the weights go back. So your spine is long. If you feel like you need more support, you can step back with one leg. So you're staying wide through the front of the body and extending the arms straight back behind you. It's exhale to extend. And you've got some awareness around the internal core cylinder, which we will talk about more in another video. Coming back to your first move, you can hang on to the weights for level 2. We'll step back with your other leg this time. So finding our hinge, stepping back. From here, we can do a punch overhead, again watching out for the shoulders. If you've had a shoulder injury or you currently have a rotator cuff issue that you're dealing with, you don't want to use the weights in this particular exercise. So you'll just place them down on the floor. We'll exhale to overhead and inhale to recover. You want to also be aware of how your head is moving with the rest of your body. So if you're looking at the ground, you want to pull your head so it's aligned with the rest of your spine. So you're reaching your arms forward, but you're keeping the shoulder blades out of those ears. And we're moving into that tricep extension. So find your hinge. Find your elbows. Broaden through the front, but without popping your ribs forward. So you don't want to be arched here. You've got a nice long spine. Exhale and extend. So it's an exhale. Thinking about staying wide through the front body and long with the backs of the arms. So it's the back of your arm between your shoulder and your elbow that's meant to be doing the work. It shouldn't be in your neck. So if you're feeling it into the neck, you either want to just relax your shoulder blades a little, or you just might need to put down the weights for now and build up some strength and some mobility. We've got a few more. Remembering to exhale with each rep. Awesome. We're going on to our third set here of our step backs. So we're going to alternate right, left. Come to the front of your mat, getting ready. Here we go. So we'll add our step back and reach, and step back and reach. So as you're doing this, I'll encourage you to keep going here, but I'm going to turn face this way. As you're stepping back, you want to make sure that your knee is not going over the midline. So you're keeping your knee aligned with that second toe. If you find that your knee's wobbling to the inside, you want to not move in as much range of motion. So you want to sort of make it a smaller range. You can picture turning your leg bone outward from deep within the hip socket, and that's what helps you to keep that knee right over that second toe. You got another 7 or so seconds to go. As you're getting tired, watch your shoulders. If they're starting to creep up, just put the weights down. Our last one of tricep extension, so we'll find our hinge. Find the elbow, broad collarbones without popping the ribs, so drawing the ribs into the body. And exhale and back. If you've got the range of motion in your hinge, you can lean a little further forward, which is a little more challenge to the tricep. And think about the baby finger reaching back behind you and also towards the sky, but not so much that your shoulders start to round forward on you. So much of our day has rounded forward shoulders, especially if you're at a computer. So you really want to think about doing the opposite here, being broad through the front of the body. Remembering to breathe. We're getting close to the end. Now we're going to move into our second set, or second series. So we'll start with some nice wide legs here. You can think about turning your feet slightly out from within the hip socket, so it's not just a foot push out. Now take your hands like you're going to push your knees wide over the center of your second toe, and then you're going to come back up. So you're wide to the outside and then standing fully tall. Wide and tall. So your knee is really tracking out over the middle of that foot. So as you get down, you don't want the knees coming in on themselves. You're getting a nice wide knee squat here. You want to think about lengthening the inner thigh as you go down and then drawing it back up as you come back up. So there's a lifting action from the under surface of the thigh right in through to the torso. You're exhaling as you come back up, getting nice and tall at the top. We're going to combine that one with a squat and a kick. So I'm going to grab my chair. If you're new to squatting, I want you just to grab a chair just to get used to the motion of what that's like. So you're going to find your hinge, and you just think about sitting into your chair and standing up. So sitting and standing up. So it's no different than getting in and out of a chair. That's the motion that a squat is. Once you've got the hang of that, you're going to add a step forward and just do the same thing without the chair there, obviously. And then once you've got the hang of it, as you come up, we're going to add intensity in our second round with a leg kick. So just getting used to the motion here of sitting either into a chair or without the chair. You want to keep space between your knees so that they're not touching as you come down. Again, your knee is tracking right over the center of your foot. We're going to go back to our wide leg squat. This time you can pick up your handheld weights, either your 5s or your 8s. You're into your wide stance here. You can start with your hands just on the hips. Knees are going wide as you come down and up. So phase 1 of this is adding the weights. Phase 2, you can bring the hands into a more overhead position here. And just hold. So your arms are working to hold you in this position. We're not going to add an overhead press with 5 pounds. Unless you've been at this for a while, you'd probably stick with the 3s. Thinking again about getting wide as you're sitting, or lowering, I should say. Got about another 10 seconds. Remembering to exhale as you come up. Last one. We'll go back to our squat kicks. So at level 1, bring the chair back and just practice the sitting. But otherwise, we're going to go into level 2. So we're squatting, coming back up, and adding a kick here. Hands are high. So if you're ready already for more challenge, you're going to pick up your 3 to 5 pound weights and be holding them in your hands for this exercise. So squat, exhale. With the kick, it's not a high kick. We're not trying to kick the ceiling here. It's almost like you're kicking the wall out in front of you where it meets the floor. So it's not a super high kick. And you want to feel like you're strong and stable through your center. So your hips are staying really level. They're not going side to side. And to do that, we use our deeper core muscles to assist the pelvis in staying level. Perfect. From here, we'll go back to our last set of our wide legs. So wide. If you find for your knees this isn't a doable motion for you, we're going to add an overhead press with my 2 or 3 pounds this time. But if the knee bend is beyond what your knees are capable of here, you're going to just add a step to the side and back to center. Side and back to center. So those are your 2 options for this exercise. I'll keep going here, back to the squat, overhead press. Again, being mindful as you're going overhead that your body's staying long and tall so that we're not in an arch to lift overhead. We're keeping our ribs connected to our pelvis. And again, we're keeping those shoulders out of the ears. You're almost done here. And we're going back to our last squat kick. So I'll keep the weights in my hands this time. Into this position, so either a chair squat or a squat kick. It's a squat, exhale, kick. So as you're doing this, you want to really feel that idea of that inner cylinder of your core. So I want you to imagine inside of you, you have this cylinder, and it has a bottom and a top, and it has sides all the way around. And as you kick, there's this energy of the floor of that cylinder being lifted towards the top of the cylinder, which is right below your rib cage. And you might even feel as though the top of the rib cage is dropping a little bit towards the bottom of the pelvis. So there's this consolidated force of lifting and lowering. And then from all 4 sides, everything's getting slightly smaller. We're going to go on to our last 2 exercises. So we're getting to a bicep curl. So grabbing a hold, of your lighter weights to get started. Probably for most of you, a 5 or an 8 is fine. We'll have you step back into a staggered stance, and then we're just adding a curl. So it's exhale and curl. So it's just a nice targeted exercise for the front of the arm. So between the shoulder and the elbow, that's what's doing the lifting here. Our arms are slightly away from the body, so we're not hugged in too close like this, just free and open in the front. I'll exhale to go curl up. Make sure you lengthen your arms out all the way to the end so that you're not staying in a slightly bent position. So exhale, good. We're gonna alternate that with a hinge. So you can draw your chair back close, practicing our hip hinge to get started. So finding that length in your whole spine. And then from there, we're going to find this point of hinging where our tailbone reaches upwards as our body comes forward, and we can just reach onto the blocks and back up. So it's a hinge and a stand. You are welcome to bend your knees here. If your hamstrings feel tight, you want them to feel like, okay, it's okay to lengthen them, but they shouldn't be pulling or grabbing. You can work your way down till you're touching the chair. So again, you're just thinking about that idea of folding versus rounding. Okay? So your head is ideally aligned with the rest of you. You draw your chin slightly towards the back of your throat, keeping length through your head. That's our warm-up hinge. We'll go back to the bicep curls. For an element of added challenge here, you can come onto one leg, lifting the back leg, or keep one on the floor. So we're exhaling to come up, inhaling to come down. So it's like actually curling my leg with my hands here. You don't have to do that. You can keep the foot on the floor, or you can just keep the foot in the air the whole time, working on your balance. We're using that exhale, and we're staying connected to that idea that there's this inner core inside of us that supports all of these motions. I do have that video for you on how to connect with that core, and you might want to watch that just to get some more information about what that feels like. But you want it to be present in all of these exercises. Awesome. We're going on to our hinge again. So you can go back to the chair for level 1, or level 2, we can go without the chair and add a reverse fly. So from here you're going to hinge, hands forward, arms are going to open out to the side, not too high, about 45 degrees, and then coming back up. So hinge, fly, and up. Hinge, fly, and up. So that'll turn into one movement. Or for the more advanced with exercise, you can stay down the whole time and just work the fly. You are not squishing your shoulder blades together. You don't want to develop trigger points between the shoulder blades. So you're imagining your hands are getting like wider to the sides of the room as you're in this exercise. You want to feel like your ribs are slightly connected to your pelvis, so there's not a big arch in your back, and we'll come up from that and back to our bicep curl, other leg. So we're almost done our circuit here. We're coming into the curl, second leg. We're exhaling to curl. So all the way down. If you have a 5 and a 3 and you want to bring this up to 8 pounds and you don't have an 8-pound weight, you can always double up the weights in your hand if you have the grip width to do that. So you can have 2 in one hand, and that just enhances the weights there. Just make sure that if you're new to working with dumbbells, that you are aware that they are quite heavy if they fall on your feet and on your toes. So you either want to have shoes on or just be very aware and be careful when picking them up. We're coming close to the end of our last bicep curl, and we'll finish with our last hip hinge. So onto the mat here, finding length through the whole body, nice and tall. ribs are connected to the pelvis, and then we're going to find right at the base of that spine, at your pubic bone, we'll find the hinging forward motion. From here, we're adding hands to the side. So level 1, you're just practicing the hinge, trying to feel the idea of the spine not changing shape as you bend forward from your hip socket. Here with the reverse curl, we're moving from the backs of our arms, our posterior deltoid, to come out to the side. Exhaling with each motion, or coming up in between and just working your hinge, level 1 there. So we're getting close to our last bit of the circuit for today. Good, and then we're going to bring ourselves to finish, and now we're going to go down onto the mat. So we're down on the mat, and we're going to turn onto our hands and knees now. So coming onto hands and knees, we're setting ourselves up for our week 1, level 1 push-up. When you're on your hands and knees, often what we can see is someone having an overly rounded back, or alternatively, a back that's kind of swayed and arched like so. So try to imagine that you've got length from the crown of the head all the way throughout the tailbone. There's a small curve in your lumbar spine here, and the opposite curve in between your shoulder blades. But we don't want to be so rounded that we're in an arch like so. So just a soft roundedness through the mid-back, and then a gentle curvature in our lumbar low back area. Our hands are nice and wide. If you have trouble with the wrists in this position, you can go to a full fist. Alternatively, you can grab your light weights and place them onto your mat. And you can place your hands onto the weight so that your wrists can stay in a nice straight line here. So all of these 3 positions will work for the push-up. I'm going to take my weights, place them off to the side. So with my hands on the floor, the wider I have, the more basic it becomes, and the more narrow I have, the more load you will have in the upper body. So from this position, we're going to try to find length in our spine. Take a breath. Try to connect with the deep inner cylinder of our core, imagining as though there's a cylinder inside of us that's cinching in from all 4 sides, getting more narrow deep within the waist area. From here, your elbows are going to go wide to the side. Exhale to come up. So we're moving through 12 push-ups in this position. So the shape of my spine wants to stay the same from start to finish. It's just the bend of the elbow, and I'm just bending and then re-extending my elbows. Using the breath, exhale as you come on up. You also want to make sure that your head stays in alignment with the rest of you so that you're not poking the chin forward as you're going down. We've got another 4. Think of yourself as a dancer here. So you've got this strong, solid frame, and you aren't sagging in the shoulders as you go down and up. It's the strong frame, you're pressing into the floor presses back at you, so that helps you create stability across the backs of your shoulders. You've got 1 more here. Beautiful. You're going to sit back, widening your knees, high hips to the air, hands out in front, or if you have the flexibility in your knees, you can sit all the way back. We're going to take a breath in here and exhale out. 1 more, inhale and exhale out. Bringing yourself back onto hands and knees, 1 hand at a time. You can do some small wrist circles. The other hand here just to unlock. We'll try 1 more set here. So level 1, you'll stay with the same push-up. As we move to level 2, we're going to try extending 1 leg back behind us. So we'll start with the same push-up to get started. But as you gain confidence and strength with this move, you can start to extend 1 leg back behind you so that as you go down, your leg comes up off the floor and then back down. Up and down. You're keeping lots of length through your body start to finish. You don't want to arch your low back or sag between your shoulder blades. If you need to, bring that 2nd foot back down to the floor for stability, or you're going to switch to the other side. Last 5 and 4 Last 3. Level 1, both knees on the floor. And last 1. And you're done. Go ahead, sit back into a nice gentle stretch. One more. And then we'll come down onto our stomach. So let's turn to our side and then slide down and onto the stomach. To finish, I want you to imagine you're getting long and tall, especially through this low back. It's very easy to sort of sag and arch your low back in this position. So you're not tucking your tailbone under, but do imagine that you're getting length through your low back, creating spaciousness through here. It's as though the fronts of your thighs are just gently reaching back out behind you or gently into the floor as well. You don't want to feel too much gripping in the buttock here, so it's just a light opening. Your hands are going to go to the side. Your head is hovering just off of the floor, and there's lots of length, so you don't want to be in a back bend of the neck, but just lots of length there. If you need to, you can place your forehead on a towel where my hand is here to support the head. So keeping that spaciousness through the low back, we're going to bring our hands to this position. We're going to connect with that inner cylinder of our core muscles, so envisioning that there's a corset inside of the body that's being kind of softly tightened from all 4 sides. And then from that position here, connecting to the base of the shoulder blade, we'll exhale and just lift the hands. We're going to do 10 lifts here. So easy up, easy down. Lots of length through the head. Stay connected to the core, the lengthening through your low back. Thinking about your feet softly planting into the mat. Softening the buttock if it feels like it's gripping. And if you feel as though this is going into your lower back, it may mean that you just need some more work on strengthening the core muscles. So in the interim, you can place a pillow underneath your stomach to allow a little bit of support for the motion. You're going to go last 2, and then last 1, and down. Take a breath, and out. And from here, we're going to turn over onto our back. So coming onto our back, all the way down onto the mat. We're going to hug one knee into our chest. Take a breath there. As you float the second leg up, we're going to gently sway side to side. So this is like a gentle massage for the very base of your spine, just a gentle unlocking here. Then grabbing the left knee, we'll extend the right leg out. So as you extend the leg, you want to make sure that your back isn't going into an arch. So you're keeping length through the spine without smushing it into the mat. And you're just extending the leg out. If you feel like there's too much pull on the front of your thigh here, go ahead and place a pillow underneath the thigh, and that will allow you to just soften the leg into the stretch through the front. Taking a breath in here, and exhaling out. You're going to take that leg bone slightly across the body, keeping the left hip on the mat, and from here take your left hand out to the side and turn to gaze towards that hand. So this is a gentle hip stretch for the outer left side. Taking a breath in here. And one more. Come back through center. You're going to bend the knee, bring the right knee to chest, extend the left leg out. Again, be mindful that you're not arching the back here, just extending the leg slowly over time. Taking a breath. And one more. Bring the leg across the body, arm out to the side, turn to look towards that hand. Take a breath in here. And exhale. So we're stretching for the hip right at the base of the right hip there. One more. Come back through center. Drawing the knee back towards the chest, rocking back side to side one last time. We're turning onto your side and coming up into sitting. So that ends our week 1 strength and conditioning series. We'll be moving on to week 2. We'll ramp up the exercises slightly, but know that there will always be a level 1 and a level 2. So just pace yourself, and you can always come back to week 1 again in the next week, and when you're ready, move on to week 2. So it's been great working out with you today. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week.